travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tuesday night. It's the Golden Guys. We are here just like the Golden Girls without all the sex appeal. And we're here. We've got everybody coming in. We might have Lewis join a little bit. I know he's working on something right now, but let me introduce the guys. Hello, DS. How are you?
I am great. Good to be back. It seems like we're on a little bit of a bi-weekly schedule, which is working for me. But yeah, so it's awesome. It's good to be back up here and talk about some comics. I know we haven't done it for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
so I'm excited.
Good stuff, and there's some stuff to discuss as well as how are we doing, Mike?
Pretty good.
Good.
In my new
place
with
I'm working on this.
This lighting is kind of messed up, but I don't have the hang of this. But I got some new shelves, and I don't know.
Yeah, I got some ideas over at Lewis's place this week. Last week I went over to Lewis's place and got a few ideas what to do here. I have a lot more artwork to display. Speaking of, I do have a art pickup I got as a I guess you'd say an AOK from Lewis himself. So I'll show that. So,
but yeah, I'm looking forward to talking some Golden Age because it's been a while, and I feel like we're got to get back.
Yeah, I was going to briefly. We're going to probably bring. We have some. Heritage has some stuff coming up that I probably we've touched on some of it, and some of the new photos I've seen are actually outstanding. So really excited about that. Really looking forward to that auction. That's just it's going on right now. It's pretty crazy. There's some, not just that, but there's been some new sales on YouTube and on the boards. On Instagram I saw, and a few claim sales seem to be doing pretty well. So like we talked about last week, there is inventory out there, and a couple of people posted some pictures from some cons recently. Planet Comic Con I was not able to attend. I had my kids' first week of school, so that was important. But I know some of you guys picked up some stuff. So
you got a new logo, DS, I think.
Yeah, DS has got a new logo. Look at that.
Yeah, always trying to improve things over here at DS headquarters. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted something. Honestly, the main reason I did it is for Instagram, which I'm on mostly for comics. And I don't own a Horrific One anymore, but I feel like that was like my first phase. I was just strictly PCH and traditional PCH, and that was the cover for Horrific One, and that embodied what I was doing. And I feel like it's not really fully representing who I am as a collector anymore. So I just wanted something, not that the one I have now is anything great, but it's just, more of a logo sort of, because I don't know. I just felt like changing it up, and it's something a little more identifiable and just, I don't know. I think it looks cool. It's sort of sketchy to me.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm really low tech, so it took me forever to figure out how to do it on Instagram and then YouTube and like get that symbol everywhere. So yeah, not easy for me, but I think I got it all figured out. So yeah, that's the new logo right there.
Nice. How did you make the Comic Core one, GB?
No, we had a guy make that one. I just did my own, which is just I don't know what mine looks like. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Mine is usually eventually. Yeah. Every time I get a new computer, it used to be Vader with the Infinity Gauntlet. That's my main one.
Oh yeah,
but that's like on everything though. I've had that since 2009, so that's behind here. Speaking of this, might as well show this now. I was waiting for Lewis to join us, but Lewis got me an AOK, and while it might not be the original, it's an original artwork of Adventure 34, and it's quite the detail on it too.
Big.
You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
it looks awesome.
13 by 19. Actually, it's almost slightly bigger than that, so I had to get a special framing for it. But it's got even the blood coming off of it there, like the Fred
that's
Gardner
cool.
did. And it's got there, and it's done by a great guy, Bergoni, who actually I've got 2 other pieces by him from last year. And Lewis got this, and you got to see a bunch of what he had done. Some pulp covers and some comic covers are pretty cool. But very happily to get this. Very thankful for this, and one day we'll get the matching set.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I love, because Liz actually thinks we should bring this upstairs, but I think it belongs in here for now.
And I think that cover is a swipe of a pulp, but I think Fred Gardner did that cover, right?
Yeah.
For Adventure. I think when he did the swipe of the pulp, he added the blood coming out of the mouth of Elephant, which is not present on the original pulp cover.
Yep.
So he made it much more like violent and intense from the original. It's a nice little cool touch he added there.
Yep, very good. From 19, again, it's an old book. It's January of 39. So, yeah. But it was, I think the pulp was done in 35, 36. I haven't found it anywhere. It's one of those hard ones for me to find. But speaking of pulps, I saw new guy picked up some contacted me about pulps that he found, and he showed me some good ones, and wanted him if he's available, he'll probably come on in a couple of weeks and show us what he got. He got about 5 or 6 really good ones, and this guy's got a collection, so I haven't really been able to see it all in its entirety, but some good ones, some shadows, and some of those spicy detective stories and stuff like that.
The spices are good.
Yeah, they're really good artwork on those. So
I really like pulps, but I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not.
It's a rabbit hole because there's so many titles. Yeah. So.
But I mean, I feel like you got to do it now before CGC. But.
Yeah, but I mean the prices. I feel like you could still get really, really solid ones for a couple $100, honestly. Mm-hmm. Really good ones, up to $1,000. So I feel like they're still relatively affordable compared to Golden Age comics.
Oh yeah,
in caliber. But for me, I mean, am I going to go down that rabbit hole and spend $250 here and $700 there and $500 here and maybe $1,000 on this one, maybe one? That shit adds up, and then it's like I'm working on a very tight, efficient budget as it is. I tried to do pulps when they were way cheaper, and I didn't even feel comfortable splitting my budget. I'll tell you, I would do movie posters, I would do pulps, and comics. Those are probably the 3 main things I would do, but I just don't have the space or the money, so I just stick to the comics. That's where I'm at.
One of these days, Lewis, we were talking about doing something where a show we're planning on doing, and you guys obviously, a show topic idea we would talk about was Golden Age pop culture crossover. So Golden Age comics and the crossover into movie posters and the pop culture of the era. And especially in the wartime books, there's much pop. They're even shown in some of the early World War II movies, some of the comic books you see. There's actually a point where in a 44 movie, there's Captain America comics that the guy's reading. That's and cool. Obviously he wasn't real. It was just kind of one of those funny things. So, but I know some of you guys picked up some other stuff. You want to show your latest pickups? Who wants to go?
You want to go, DS?
Yeah, I'll go. I don't have anything earth shattering, and I don't have anything golden.
I think they're great.
But speaking of pulps, let me just throw or swipes, because we talk about Adventure 34. I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't really think it's related to anything else, but in the upcoming Heritage Sunday night auction, they have this pulp, I guess, or magazine or whatever, which I hadn't seen before, and this is from 1948. Some of you probably recognize that.
Nice.
So that's a 1948. I wasn't even aware this existed. But I was aware, as most of you probably are, of this comic book from 1951 that's very popular
Sodi book. Yep.
innocent book. Yeah. So it looks like that is a swipe, and there's the two side by side. So 48 is the pulp or magazine, and then 51 is the comic book. So there's the differences. I mean, the images similar, but the layout of the books are different. But yeah, I wasn't even aware that other one existed. But there you go, another swipe has been identified in the hobby. So I think that's cool.
There you go.
It's the story on that is like there was like someone's parents of someone in the book made them get rid of the book or something. I feel like there's a whole story behind that. Yeah,
I mean, look, I've never owned that comic book, and I don't really know much about it other than that it exists, and it's sort of one of the iconic seduction of the innocent historical images. Like, I don't know how much that played into it at the time, but nowadays when we talk about Sodi books, that's one of the classics that comes to mind.
Absolutely.
So it's just cool that that's even a swipe. Like that Adventure 34 is a swipe. There's just so many cool swipes out there, and I don't think it lessens the swiped version or the whatever. I mean, I think they're all cool. There's just so much of that out there, and you see new stuff all the time. But I'll show you some pickups here. So I'm working on my bronze horror, and I've sort of branched out into another area now of bronze horror that I'm looking at now. And these are these adventure comics from the 70s with the Spectre covers.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are Jim Aparo covers. And this one I found recently for pretty cheap, I think, for what it is. It's 9.4 white pages. It's Adventure 439, old CBCS. Yeah, pretty nice.
I think the 7th in the Spectre series for the Bronze Age.
Yeah, I think it's 431 to 439, and then there's skips a couple, and then there's more after that.
Yeah, I have my 432 out because I was checking that out.
Yeah, and then I picked up also this one on eBay. This is 437, 9.6 cool. Mark Jeweler insert on this too, and then
nice
again Jim Aparo. I think Jim Aparo again.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's thanks. Yeah, it's Jim Aparo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He did
it almost has like a gray tone feel to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's very, I love that. I love that whole series. It's, I think I have most of them all raw. I don't have any of them slabbed.
So I bought this because it was a 9.6 white. Mark Jeweler's
great grade.
And then it came with this certificate, which wasn't advertised by the seller. I posted this on my Instagram, but apparently, and somebody else filled me in on it. Apparently, several years back, this collection was sold, and the books were dispersed. But there was a collection of a guy at a military base in the UK, Air Force Base, who was buying these at the local commissary or whatever. So they all had Mark Jewelers and whatever inserts in them. And this certificate came with this. So this was part of that collection. And look, it was originally graded as a 9.4 when it was raw. But when it got sent in, it got a 9.6. So kudos to that conservative grader. So if you want to read this, you can check my Instagram. And then I also picked up, another ASM. Why not? I've been picking them up all year. So here's a 6.0 white pager of First Mysterio. So I figure why not?
I love that one.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite of the first appearance ones. That one and Craven are my top two. No offense to
so I have 2, 3, 4, 6, 13, 14, 15, and then I have a 41, which is way out of the range. But I don't know. The only other ones I really probably would be interested in would be 1 and 5 and 9.
5 is the Doom.
5's not really a key, but it's cool to Doom crossover.
Yeah.
7. What's 7?
7's nothing. I mean, it's like a second Vulture, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a Vulture cover.
9 is the first Electro, so that's a key.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that cover too.
And it looks like the Sinister Six, according to the trailer. They're all in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Then I picked up a. So I already had this. This is a cool. They do a series, Illustrated History horror related stuff. So I already had this one, The Art of Horror, and there's some really cool stuff in here. And it's a big book. I mean, it's thick and it's big and hardcover. Really, really cool. I've had this for a while. And then not too long ago, I picked up another one from that series, The Art of Pulp Horror, which is again nice thick hardcover book. This is not just pulp horror art, but it's pulps, comics, movie posters. Pretty similar to the other one, honestly. I don't feel like they're really that different. It's just different stuff in them. So yeah, I put some tabs here. We can show some stuff in it here in a little bit if you want to. And then yeah, so that's my pickups. Nothing golden age, but just some cool stuff. So yeah, that's it.
Really cool. Nice. All right, Knights. I know you had some stuff.
Yeah, so it's amazing. I actually finally picked up a Golden Age book. It's been a while,
Nice.
but you know, DS would know. You guys don't know what this is yet, but DS would definitely know that I been looking for this one for a while, and you know, the price has gone pretty crazy on a lot of stuff, as we all know, and this one especially, I feel like a nice copy was just getting a little too out of hand, and I love the book, but I wasn't maybe thrilled to go in like, you know, $7,000 or something on it. So I was looking for lower grade copies, but all of them, just because of the color of the cover, you know, they don't look very good if it's not a pretty nice cover. So finally found one, and it's got some restoration, of course, but I mean, for the price, I'm super happy, and I think it presents really well. So here it go.
Ah, beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Subby 33.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suspected that was the one you were talking about.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, like beautiful Bill Everett cover.
Yep.
Probably, you know, I'd say these two are my favorite Bill Everett's. So
Yeah. Always Marvel Mystery 9 for sure.
And,
It's my favorite one.
you know,
The colors on that Nine are insane too.
Yeah,
did,
that 9 is just the best. It's my favorite book.
he penciled this one,
Right.
apparently, and Schomburg inked it. But I don't know. I feel like I don't know how they get that information. I think it's
Whoever
someone-
they paid.
but,
Well, it looks like the subbies on those covers were drawn by the same guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is pretty cool, you know, for being because Submariner kind of went through this phase of like really wacky heads, and I feel like Everett kind of brought it back to a little bit more real, you know, what we're used to.
What
as far
was
as
that
Subby.
one? Was it Carl Burgess or was it Severin? John Severin, I think, who did one where it literally is a triangle.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
He said
They're
shorts.
terrible.
Oh, yeah.
But look at that water is so great.
Yeah, I love that. It's a good book.
I mean,
33.
EC had amazing artists at that time, but I feel like Everett could kind of stand up there against them if he flexed. And I feel like it's a good pairing for. I don't have many 50s Golden Age, but I feel like it goes well with the other two I have. These,
Vuda. Yeah, I had that.
Yeah, is that Foxhole too?
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one too.
you know,
Yeah, that's a nice little
smaller-
Adam Age collection.
a little smaller comics than the typical Golden Age, and you know, and what's cool about this, I'll tell you a little something about the inside. I'll crack. Oh, I did crack it out, but I'll open it up for you. So what's interesting is that cover of him murdering basically it's funny because I wonder if they added the hammered sickle later, because really this is a retelling of his origin. And
Right.
if you know anything about his origin, is he yeah, right here, I'll show you. and this is in Marvel 1 too,
Yeah.
but he's a young Namor, and he goes down, and he thinks like these guys are like, well, he claims he thinks they're robots or something, and he just stabs them and like rips them apart until they stop moving, basically is what he says. And then later on, when he talks about it at Atlantis, they're like, good job, your first step in murdering the humans and all this. And he's like, whoa. But I feel like they kind of try to lessen, like they try to make him a little more innocent in this version. So I think I'm going to do a video of comparing the origin of this story to the one from Marvel 1. So be on the lookout for that, because that could be fun to compare that if they're totally different. Stan Lee is now in charge, so maybe he see what how he changed it up a little bit. And it's funny because there is a story with the against the communist whatever Russian sub or something, but he doesn't come in contact with any sailors or anything. Like he just grabs a missile and all this, but so it's really, I feel like this is more of representative of what happened in his origin, which is cool. But it's also cool. I like it because from the times, 1950s.
Yeah, Red Menace.
But anyway,
Yeah, that's real cool.
Very cool.
I'll tell you, I've been keeping an eye on those books. If I pick those up, it would be just to pick them up because I'd like to own one to read through it and check it out, and then I would move it on. It's not something I would plan on keeping. But I started watching those like a year ago, and the prices have skyrocketed on those. And it turns out, I mean, this is what I've learned over the last year of looking into those books. They're really tough to find. Those books, a lot of those Atom Age, Submariner, and the Torch ones, they're really tough books to find, man. There's a couple Cap ones too. Those are tough books. And then, 4550, that's like a really high grade on some of those books. So they don't top out very high, like 60, 65, maybe 7. Yeah, they're really cool. I think they really have gotten very popular over the last year or so. I've just noticed the prices and the scarcity of them. So I think if you come across those in even like 3035, just pick them up if they're good prices, because those books are legit hard to find, and they have really growing demand, and they're just so cool. So I've never owned any. I want to pick some up. That's the kind of thing I want to have a transitory possession of. Like I like to get things like that I don't want to hold it forever, but I want to see it and I want to experience it and read it. So I would buy those and then move them on, but I can't at this point. They're really tough to find. They're expensive.
Yeah, I think I've got about 2 Submariners, but of that era that I had them years ago, and I obviously I like the Buscema series that's, I'm not knocking Bill Everett by any means. I got much more into it with the availability, pretty much exactly what he talked about. I couldn't find them anywhere, and wasn't so much the prices back then. It was more the where do you find them? As opposed to the 68 series, they were much more produced, and even the 40s ones were easier to find. But yeah,
I love
it.
looking at on eBay. It's $650, which I don't think is a bad price, and it's not as cool as that one. But
that's not bad for 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think this is it's a cool book, and it's a Sid Shores cover. It's not nearly as dynamic as that one, but man, I'm tempted to just buy this for $650. It's $675, and I've been watching it. He sent out an offer of $650, but I mean, I'm tempted to just buy that because I feel like it's a rare book enough. I think it's got good value.
Is that one? Is he against the red?
Let's see.
Because I feel like those are a little bit more,
definitely
safe as far as holding value versus some of the wackier ones. in the middle.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, this one has the origin of his wings, and it's in this great issue. You'll meet the World Destroyers, so it doesn't sound like it's
What
hard
number?
to tell without opening it up.
What
I
number?
don't know if the World Destroyers are communist in that one. If that's a team, like an official team or something in that book, I don't really know. But there's another one on here that is war related, Cold War related. It's number 41. There's a 330 on eBay. And I think that one's, decent. But all these books are so cool. This one is a Joe Manili cover.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I mean, it looks like pretty good colors on this one. And he's fighting some communists there. Looks like there's ice or something.
It's got the code, right?
Yeah, it's got the code. I mean, it's 55, 8 of 55, so it's just code.
Oh yeah.
And then here's another code one. This is number 42. But yeah, the ones without the stamp are even harder to find. This one is a Carl Burgos cover. I'm not a fan of. Look at this is the worst Submariner ever.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it Burgos who did the triangle face? Yeah, I'm gonna put that on the big screen for a minute.
I feel there's worse than that.
I don't know. Let me show you this one. Tell me if this is not the worst Submariner ever. So I'll zoom in, but this is, good colors, nice copy, 5.5.
No,
here's your Submariner.
No, this one with the triangle.
Those triangle heads are worse to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this one's pretty bad. So I don't know, but yeah, they're out there. I think that Submariner run from the Atom Age is pretty cool. So yeah, the one you got's probably the best one too, I think.
I feel it's in the top 3 or 5 Submariner covers of all time. To be honest.
Oh yeah, I mean for the Atom Age run, it's definitely the best, I think. But I don't know. I don't see a lot of people showing those off. I don't see a lot of people picking them up or owning them. So I just don't think there's enough of them out there. I don't see people with them, and I don't hear a lot of talk about them. So I don't know if there's any keys in there that are good or
I used to think they would be common when I first started collecting timelies, but yeah, then once once you start looking yourself.
Well, you and me have been looking for that one for you. I've been looking too for you for a while.
Yeah.
And I would send you ones here and there, but they sporadically come up. But I never saw a good one like a 3.0 raw or some other beat copy or something. And then there was
big creases, and because it's white, because it's black cover, this one has a little. Yeah, it does have a crease right down, but it's pretty.
That's pretty clean cover though.
Yeah,
not bad.
And then there was that 5 or 6.0 or 7.0 or something.
That was a nice one.
Yeah,
but it went for $7,000 or something.
Yeah, it was pretty high price on that. So, I have my eye out for those, and we'll see. But I want it. If I pick those up, I would want a mid-grade range with room on it where I can move it along.
My contenders for worst. What do you think, JD?
Yeah, that one. That's that triangle head.
So bad.
Yeah. So bad.
Is that a Sid Shores one?
I think so. It's Marvel 77.
Yeah, there's quite a few after Schomburg that are not so hot. I feel like he was doing all of them for a while, and then after a while he only did every third one or something, it seemed like.
Well, and also, I'd have to look at the dates, but there was a time where Everett was in the war. And you can't help but think they're gonna make him like this joke character while he's gone. Because then it did return somewhat to normal after he came back. It's cool that he was able to come back and get on the book.
Yeah,
that would be a cool show actually to talk about all the, because there was a number of people who went off to the war and then someone else took over the book and then they just never were able to come back to it. And that's pretty interesting to me. I think one of the biggest ones I think might be Alex Raymond.
Alex Raymond.
Alex Raymond.
He left Flash Gordon.
Yeah, he was Flash Gordon.
And Mac Rayboy or someone like that. I can't remember. Macroboy. Goddamn, why am I so bad with names?
It might be Mac Rayboy.
He took over and yeah, he never got flashback. I mean, he did some other cool stuff, but I thought his Flash Gordon was really the best.
Yeah, I always say if I don't know, I always the Golden Age art, Hal Foster, Tarzan, Alex Raymond, Flash Gordon. That's the pinnacle right there.
Yeah,
You can get that stuff.
Yeah, I think there was a guy associated with Buck Rogers too. I can't think of his name. Chester Gould with the
Chester
Dick
Gould.
Tracy.
We did Dick Tracy. Yep. I have.
Yeah, but a lot of those characters, I feel like after the war, the popularity of those characters just dropped off. Like you don't see a lot of Flash Gordon stuff after like 1951. Really, there's just not much of it. Probably a couple Dells or something.
yeah, Mac Rayboy, Rebel, or however you say it,
Raboy.
Rayboy.
I think it's Rayboy. I don't know. I hear guys who collect that stuff say Mac Rayboy, so I just go with that.
But yeah, I mean,
he's collecting it. They know.
he was an amazing artist. I mean,
Oh
this is
yeah,
him.
his whole
This is him, right?
Yeah, that's
the whole thing on
Right.
Master Comics. Yeah,
But he
Marvel Boy.
stole the Flash Gordon out from under of.
Alex Raymond. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few like Hal Foster's Tarzan, Alex Raymond, Flash Gordon. I'm trying to think of who was the guy who did the Red Rider. Maybe somebody will help me out with that. That was pretty popular.
So are all these super expensive?
Well, the one on the bottom right is for sure. And
Honestly, the top, that Blue Bolt's not super expensive, I don't think.
the Don
I'd
Heck
love to
Horrific.
find a bargain copy of it, though.
I think there's bargain copies. That's not. I don't think that's that great of a cover.
Is
That's
the
way
Don
cheaper than
Heck-
a lot of the other ones.
Is the Don Heck Horrific bullet head still going crazy? That Daredevil battles Hitler, the first day Daredevil.
Yeah,
that's
that's
a ton.
That horrific is cool, but look, it doesn't have as many fans as some people think it has. There's not a lot of. There's a lot of collectors who are not into those Don Heck headshots, although that is the best one. But that book spiked along with everything else. It's still expensive. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's still a pricey book. Yeah, I mean, like a 3.0, you never see anything higher than a 3.0, really. It was like
Catman would be, I feel like, only amazing if it was like in really nice shape.
yeah, that Catman's cool. That classic.
Yeah,
stuff
that would be cool.
Is that classic anything important?
I don't think
Classics
so.
usually aren't unless it's the HRN number's really high.
And I don't know anything about that Donald.
No, we need to ask Rick Sneed stuff about that. Rick,
I
Yeah,
guess
you got to
maybe
find
that
someone who knows
Blackhawks-
more about Carl Barks on that one.
The
And
Blackhawk
Anthony-
first appearance? That
possibly. I don't know. I mean,
And
it's
the Dick-
military comics,
Dick
probably.
Tracy. That's I haven't seen that one.
That jungle. I was just talking to a couple of people recently. That
That
jungle.
Jungle's is pricey.
The jungles with the dinosaur covers really are hot these days, man. They're like sneaky hot. They're very.
Yeah, I don't even recall ever even seeing that thing.
Yeah,
Well,
the early
those-
ones. Some of them are like in the early ones of the jungles with the dinosaurs. I swear I missed the boat on them again. The guy was offering me the whole run for a lot of money, and I was like, I'd have to part with a lot of books to get it.
That is a heavy book. I'm taking this.
Yeah, I got my Gerbers. My Gerbers. The Gerbers
That
are-
Dick Tracy's kind of a cool Dick Tracy,
Yeah,
I
it looks like
guess.
a
I mean, I don't
cool-
know if you're into
Yeah.
Dick Tracy's.
I
Oh,
have
that-
all those
Full
early
suspense.
jungles.
Yeah,
That's what is that? Suspense 2? No, Suspense 1, right?
that's
Do you want to make it large?
yeah. I got to see the big screen. Sorry about that.
Yeah, is that Suspense 1, right?
Yeah, it looks like it.
It's not like you
Yeah,
see
I
that.
think that's a Charles Quinlan cover on that Suspense, and I get the impression that after Quinlan did that for Suspense 3, Schomburg's like, "Hold my beer," you know? What I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I see what you did there, Charles. All right, hold my beer. Watch this." And then he went ahead and did Suspense 3. It's a very similar layout, but it's like a infinitely more striking cover. But that one's no joke either. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that jungle. I never really.
Yeah, there's a few dinosaur
Thought about
ones
that.
out there. Dinosaurs are always hot, especially.
So David Samuelson in the chat says that's an all barks Donald Duck, he thinks.
Yeah,
Hmm.
could be. Yeah, that's probably correct. He's pretty not knowledgeable. Look at that. I'm trying to think of which Blue Bolt is that? I can't see.
That is number. God, what number is that?
That's probably not too crazy.
107, 106.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember. I think that's the, think about how I'm saying this though. That's the worst LB Cole sci-fi cover, which is still pretty good. But
And then on the back, what do we got? Oh, those are all.
We got Planet One.
oh, that's a killer, bro. There.
Yeah, you got Fantastic Comics. You got a Green Lantern right there. Prize. That's a lot.
I just
That
saw one of the
Adventure.
prize comics recently. So
Early Adventure. That's New Adventure. So that's what, number 32?
that's
That's
27.
nice.
427. Yeah, that's there.
Yeah, that's the Flessel cover.
Yep.
That's a classic, man. That's one of the best Golden Age
What
covers.
else you got there?
That prize looks pretty cool.
Yeah, a giant robot.
Yeah.
Somebody on the IG recently picked one of those up. I can't remember who though, but it's a very, very hard book to find.
I think there's better Fantastic Comics, but for the rest, those are pretty good.
That's right. Fred Harmon. Thank you, Anthony Purdue, our Reginald Knowles.
Well, I don't think that's a Lou Fine Fantastic. I think that's probably a Simon or a Tuscan.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Alex Raymond came back to do Rip Kirby. Austin
Yeah.
Briggs, Dan Barry did Flash Dailies. Yeah. Ray Boy did Sundays, and Fred Harmon did the Red Rider. Nice.
Yeah, there's some real old ones in that second row there.
All right, so now you got Weird Mysteries. That's a good one. Mystery Man. Love that.
That's a
It's
tough
like he's fighting Cthulhu or something. I can't tell from here.
Cthulhu was.
God, that exciting comics. It's pretty rare, but it's not the best.
Yeah.
That is that number one of it? Gosh.
And then you got a Rocket Comics, which is Unicorn.
That weird looks pretty nice from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Weird Mysteries.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real cool. That's Bernard Bailey. One of the cheaper Weird Mysteries to get.
That looks like it would be fit right in with those new comics you've been buying.
Which
Those
ones? All
DC
these.
horror, those DC horror ones.
Oh yeah.
It's got like the same
Well,
color.
I would own any of the books in those first two rows. All badass.
Well, now we go with the Mask, a Weird Comics, pretty common Liberty Comics. That's pretty easy to find. They got an All-Star, Red Circle, of course.
That Weird Comics, the old CGC labels credit that to Lou Fine, and it's not. It's a Tusca cover.
Okay, George.
So if you see one with an old CGC label, it'll say Lou Fine cover, and it's not.
Nice.
That All-Star I could do without. I'm not a big fan of that title.
It's a weird. It's an interesting all-star cover though. It's got this giant bug.
Yeah.
Liberty. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's around? I see that one. It's a cool skull cover.
Yeah.
Who's that red circle? I don't see that.
No, that's pretty rare. Then you got
Yeah, they did Red Circle and they did Blue Circle. The Blue Circle has that classic Hitler, the same layout on the covers. It's just blue instead of red. But that one's actually a yellow cover. But it's Hitler with the swordfish coming down to Hitler on the bottom of the cover. That's on the Blue Circle.
And then we got.
Oh, you got the Vulture Punch.
Great clairvoyant one.
Yeah, good clairvoyant. Great Blue Bolt. Let's
Yeah, great
what
punch.
it is. The best one.
Great punch.
That punch is a bare-breasted cover.
Yep.
Naked girls in the grasp of that giant bird.
Vulture.
Not my favorite detective or weird fantasy, but
No.
Yeah, but that's a pre-bet tech. That's a tough one to get, probably.
Yeah.
They're all
Early tech.
really tough.
And then Kid Comics.
oh, that's funny. Amazing Spider-Man 1. That's funny.
Yeah, someone.
Because there's not much Silver Age at all in this book.
I have one that's got I forget which Gerbers I have. They're in the back.
Out of this world. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, nice robot cover there, Diaz.
That's all right.
Green Giant. I don't even remember ever even seeing that.
Yeah, dude, Green Giants. That's a pretty scarce book. There's an early Green Giant, which is like a real ghost.
It's a good Shadow.
Yeah. Shadow.
Well, that's one of the most classic Shadow covers. That was swiped from an earlier Shadow pulp.
Right. That's from.
And that was redone also more modernly on the Shadow series that I think maybe Dark Horse did or somebody. I can't remember the company that.
We should do I'll pick our favorite Shadow pulp and comic covers from any era.
Okay, that sounds like a good.
That'd be
thing.
fun.
Yeah. The Shadow Nose episode. Nice.
Those are pretty good. Wait, I got the.
Every time you put your thing down, I'm looking
I'm
at that.
excited
pedal.
about this.
Oh, there's that cool flight. Yeah.
That Wonder,
Flight 11.
super expensive.
Yeah.
I feel like that Wonder is like that. What is it? That one, the Fantastic? Is it the one with the giant robots?
That's Fantastic 3.
Yeah, I feel like those are similar books. Like they're just
Yeah.
early and rare as all heck.
You got a nice tech there as well.
The Keen Detective Funnies is cool.
Yeah. The eyeball.
Tales of the Future. I feel like I don't.
Weird Tales of the Future. I don't see that much. Oh, you got the
Yeah.
eye poker.
I think they had 7 total issues in that Weird Tales of the Future. It's Basil Wolverton art, I think, on all of them.
Nice.
It's a pretty cool title.
And you got that silver streak with the yellow claw.
Anything special about that jungle?
Yeah, it's Jungle Comics
early.
1.
One.
Oh,
It's
is
the
it?
first one? It's the Will Eisner.
Yeah, that's number 1.
Pretty good.
And Mr. Mystery 12, man, it doesn't do it for me. I'm in the minority. I don't really think.
Oh, that's a really nice row right there.
Well, yeah. We'll look at where it starts. And considering the last sale, that Phantom Lady hit over $500,000, that's pretty far up there too.
You get sci-fi.
You gotta. That's the $6 million row.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that Scrooge is a very sought after Carl Barks.
Uncle
Yeah.
Scrooge is first.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
no,
the
not his
first.
first appearance.
That's first. This is something
His
about
first
it.
solo or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that crime.
Thrilling Crime 49.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Has that gone down at all, DS?
Not really. I mean, it's sort of. I looked at a 4.0 and a 5.0 for like $500 and $600 respectively, like 2 years ago, and I'd passed on them. And ever since then, I've never been able to get another one without paying a ton. I just haven't. No, it's pretty pricey. I don't think the price has come down really on that, but I haven't really seen one sell in a while either. So
That Future Comics is pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing that either. The Lone Ranger, starring the Lone Ranger. That's
Yeah.
fun.
That's always nostalgic right there. And then you got that nice Terror. Well, LB Cole Spiderhead.
That Fantastic is always a weird one to me because I never feel like I know what the hell he's bending up there.
I always thought it was a train, but one car.
Doc Savage, that's a wacky one.
Oh, yeah. Pulps are there. You got that nice, more fun.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
a
that's a pretty good row.
Nice. Look at that Green Lantern National.
Yeah.
That's a good row.
that National Comics, that image, I can't see past it. It just always looks like a giant grasshopper to me.
That's good. I was going to say it's the praying mantis cover, whatever it is.
Yeah, I just can't do it, man. It's tough to. I know it's an underwater scene, but it's tough to figure out what you're looking at. I prefer National 16 over that.
Nice.
I'll take both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't pass either one of them.
I believe that's a Joe Simon Champion Comics.
Yeah, and I picked up a Blue Bolt.
Who did
107.
Champion? Who was Champion?
I know what publisher.
Yeah.
Don't
I
know.
don't
Oh,
know.
I love that jumbo right there,
Yeah, that's a tough one.
and that
That's
terrific.
pretty
Great.
clever.
Blue Beetle, that's a good one. Oh, look at it. Marvel Mystery.
Yeah, it's a good marble.
Tomb of Terror. People know that one.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, look at that row. You look at that. You got the old time PCH back to back. Suspense 3 and Punch 12.
Yeah. So what do you guys like better, the
And
suspense?
a Planet 1 on the side.
You like suspense better than the punch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to knock a
Yeah,
suspense.
I do too.
I'm not going to knock a suspense.
I could see something
that
like in
punch
punch
is
better.
awesome.
Yeah, that punch is awesome.
I always liked that World War III book. I've had it before. It's pretty
Anything
common.
interesting about that planet? I'm not.
Yeah, it's old school.
I mean, it's a rivet, so it's an early one.
It's one of the first. I think it's number 3, 4.
I mean, the first 22 issues are all good.
Yeah.
That
I wouldn't
Powers
pass
got some kind of cool colors on there. I like
Yeah.
that. I'm not a real big fan, but I do think it's an interesting book.
Nice.
I think that's an LB Cole cover too.
Look at this row.
Oh, that's a good row.
Yeah, Marvel 1, great hit comics. Mask 2.
Oh, that's a
hit.
cool hit. That's a cool hit cover.
That's another one.
Actually, DS, I couldn't answer this question for a guy who contacted me. I told him to contact you. Are there more Mask 1s than there are 2s right now? Or was it... Do you know?
I mean, without looking at the census, which even wouldn't be definitive anyway,
Right.
but I feel like it's a pretty equal distribution,
Okay.
honestly.
Because I didn't know what the answer was. I said, as far as I know, but
I feel like there's about the same amount of 1s as 2s.
okay.
It's not, look, in the realm of Golden Age, I don't consider those to be really that rare.
Right.
They had a parent rarity for a while because you never saw them, and it was because the people who owned them didn't want to part for them for what they thought they would bring, so they just didn't put them on the market. So it had a parent rarity. But then it only takes one to open that door, and somebody throws it out there and it goes nuts, and everybody's like, "Oh, okay, it's worth that. Well, maybe I will sell mine." And then all of a sudden, every auction has one of them.
All right. So now
Awesome
now
books.
They look
we're gonna
great.
play a game.
They look great on black, I have to say.
Yeah.
All right.
It would actually be cool to just get the covers spread out from both volumes and put them together and frame it and make that like a thing on your wall, just the
Uh-oh.
cover.
Always love collage posters. Always
Yeah.
thought they were the coolest thing. There's been a few of them for the pulps with the weird Tales has one, and all the sci-fi ones. There's one of those I've seen. They're pretty cool. They're posters, so they're not expensive, but
Yeah.
they look
I
really
think all
cool.
those books we just looked at, I probably own, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 of all of those. I have a Hit 5, a Mask 1, a Blue Bolt 105, Blue Bolt 111. Yeah, I have a Planet 1. So yeah, I probably have 7 or 8 of the ones we just looked at.
And a lot of people, this was my introduction where I really got to inspect Golden Age books for the first time.
Well, I didn't get those Gerbers until about 2 years ago. It's the first time I ever owned them. And I got them from a really good friend who just felt like I was not allowed to go on in this hobby unless I had the Gerbers. I have to have them. And I'm like, I know. And he's like, you know what? I'm not waiting anymore. I'm going to give them to you. And he sent me them. And it's our very own Knights of Old, Mike. I appreciate it because I've never owned those before. And I only got them. You gave them to me like 2 years ago. And I went through all of them, went through both of them, took notes, and I still have
I guarantee you, if you ever move or like you have to get rid of a bunch of stuff, those books are going to be one of the last things you'll part with.
Oh
Yeah, definitely.
and they're
JD,
great. And
I for the longest time, JD, I just assumed you had those books.
okay, I had them. I have the 2 really good copy, there that were sealed, that I got off the boards last year, and then I had the old, the smaller, not the really big Gerber, but the smaller one like that. That's the only thing I had, and it was more. Didn't really have a lot of the Golden Age, but I absolutely think Gerbers are an essential because that's actually the one thing that when we, behind the scenes thing when we do one of our favorite cover things, the code is break out the Gerbers. We're gonna have to go through these.
I mean, and still, like, I mean,
I still love to find comics that they don't have the picture of, because there are some Gerbers that the older ones you have don't have every photo in there.
well, and this is so it's 800. If both volumes, 800 pages. Each page it could have, let's see, 25 covers on each page. I mean, do the math. That's so many awesome illustrations to look at. It's insane.
Yeah, so the mass comics on the census, which is not all of them, there still are raws out there, but on the census, Mask 1 of all of the labels, there's 68. That includes the Universals, the Restoreds, whatever. There's 68. Mask 2 has 51.
Okay.
So, yeah, a fair bit less for Mask 2. So I would guess that's a pretty big percentage spread. So I would say there's probably more Mask 1s than Mask 2s out there, but pretty equivalent. I think there's going to be a lot of raw copies still out there and some CBCS copies out there. And so I think, what's the total population? I mean, if you were total population to speculate on a Mask 1, a couple hundred. I mean, there's a couple hundred of them.
Okay.
I feel like it's going to be within 25 to 30 between both of them, probably.
I used to be obsessed with that question about like how much of that population is real, and I used to ask like everyone on the boards. And Rick, New Force guy, is it Rick?
Yeah, Gator.
Yeah,
Gator.
I believe he said something like you have to at least add double what the CGC count is.
Yeah.
And then maybe even one more time just to be safe, if you want to really be safe about how many copies are out there.
Yeah, there's, you got to also consider there's the CBCS books. They have a census now, but if you're just looking at CGC, there's going to be at this point a fair number of CBCS copies out there, maybe a couple PGX, although I wouldn't really count many of those in. Then you've got the more modern a book is, the more inflated those census numbers are too, because of resubs. People crack that out and press and resub, and they don't send the labels back. So stuff the more modern is more common for that. But it does happen with the Golden Age stuff. People will get it restored, get it worked on, and send it back, or they'll have a low grade, they'll get it conserved and send it back, or they'll just have
it has to be
to press it up.
And it has to be, I think he was saying, the more in demand the book is, the more accurate it might be.
Well, I mean, there's books that have there's bronze books with 4 on the census.
Yeah,
that's not a rare book. It's just because they're important enough, nobody's ever sent it in. If you look at the numbers for Nova 1, 3 years ago,
right,
there's hardly any on the census. Nobody was wasting money grading a Nova 1. Now there's probably a couple thousand on the census. So, but a Mask 1, I feel like, is important enough that people come across that and get slapped these days. Yeah. But there are still probably lots of raws out there, and I would say probably a couple hundred, maybe 300 of each probably out there. I think is probably fair.
I saw that guy's Promise Collection one. I forget his name. The dude with he puts the whiskey or whatever next to each.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah. He's in the chat right now. Sean,
he's in the chat.
Oh man,
he has a set of leather bound Gerbers.
Dude, he's sometimes people are like, you guys, that's amazing, the books you have. But then there's guys like him where it makes our stuff look like we're like the
I was like that.
Living at the bottom of the village, in the mud.
Well, go check out his post, because he just picked up the Promise copy of Mask 2.
Yep. I know, it's amazing. Yeah.
It's great.
So and the colors on that are sopping wet. It's like the ink is wet. It's so rich. The colors
I love the gloss. When it still has a gloss on it, that's awesome.
But I'll tell you what, this is what I always tell the people though, I have a better collection than some people if they think mine's better. Other people have way better collection than me because I think it's better. But with Golden Age, every person, regardless of how much money you have or whatever, it's just you can build your own unique collection.
Yeah,
that's not like anyone else's. It's not like Silver Age where, it's all the same books and some people just have more of them or higher grades of them. But there's people have been doing this way longer than me and have way more money than me and way more connections, go out and hunt and go to cons and do all this other stuff way more than me. But I will have Golden Age books they don't have. And it's because they're rare enough. And if you work at it, you can put together a very unique collection that's not like anybody else's, and it's really doesn't have anything to do with money. And that's what I love about Golden Age. You can build a unique Golden Age collection that's not like anybody else's, no matter who they are. And I really like that. I have books.
That's true.
You know, there's collections that put me to shame, but I have books they don't that I guarantee they would buy off me in a heartbeat because I have it and they don't because it's rare enough. So it's, you know, everybody has that if you're a Golden Age collector.
And some people are, I don't want to say bargain, they're very thrifty in what they can find for a low price, like Night Tiger comics.
Oh yeah, dude.
And I mean, I'd love to see just like all his Golden Age laid out, because I'm sure, I mean, he's got a lot, and they're like just stuff you wouldn't think of, and you're just like, wow.
He has thousands. He's been doing it a long time. He has thousands of Golden Age books that he probably has not spent more than $150 on any of them. And he's got stuff going back like 1940 books. He's got Fox books. He's got early qualities. I mean, he's got a couple timelies. I mean, he's got really good stuff, but he's just been doing it for a long time. He hunts like crazy, and he's put together a massive, cool collection on a budget. Yeah, he's got a cool collection, man. He's got some really cool stuff.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of us have quirky collecting styles. I mean, I have 122 elephant cover Golden Age books. I mean, I'm probably the only one with that, but unless you have all of them, but that's my thing. I'm missing 17 according to there, but now there's always more I find. You know, this one that somebody shows me, do you have this one? Yeah, I got that one. Do you have this one? Yeah. And this is, I said, I've never even seen that book because it's a Canadian red or it's an Australian book, you know, somebody found somewhere. And I think
here's one I found. We were talking about this earlier, the Jungle comics with the dinosaurs.
Yep, that's really sought after.
Really good.
Yeah, so I found this from a dealer who's not really like into how do I put this? He's not out there. He doesn't put himself out there a lot, but he has a lot of books. So I bought this off him raw for a pretty good price, and ended up selling it. I really thought it was a higher grade than this. This is Jungle 17.
Yep.
And I thought this was like a 5.0 range book, but CGC found some staining on it that I didn't see, but they saw it. But it's such a clean copy. This is a picture I pulled from the Instagram of the guy who bought it from me. But yeah, I kind of wish I still had this one, but I was just so disappointed in the grade. I was just, you know, sometimes something happens with a book and you just get salty about it and you just want to get rid of the book. I don't know if that happens to you guys, but sometimes I have an experience with a book and it just gives me a bad taste in my mouth about that particular copy of it and just whatever my history is with it, or things don't go the way it's supposed to or whatever. And I feel salty about the book and I don't want to have it anymore. And it's just like, it's ruined for me. And that was one of them because I felt like it was such a nice copy, and it is a nice copy, but I got hammered on the grade. It was very disappointing. And I don't know. Usually I don't put too much into the grades, but that one I really felt like it was better than that. And they really hammered it. And it's like a 5.0 copy, man, at least. And, you know, whatever. It had a little chip off an interior page that didn't even go into the margin. And apparently some stain, which I didn't see, but it was on there. So whatever.
The colors are awesome, too, on that book. On yours, the one.
Oh, yeah, that Jungle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it had rich colors on this one, too.
Yeah.
I mean, the blue, the green.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a nice copy, man. Off-white pages.
It's a good book.
Yeah, I know. 3.0, though. I mean, 3.0, put this on the big screen.
Yep. That presents really good for a 3.0, to be honest with you.
All right, so the back cover looks the same as this. I mean, this isn't my photo because it's not my book anymore, but this is a 3.0.
Crazy.
I mean, it doesn't even have any spine ticks. It doesn't have any creases I mean, it's got like this little tiny chip off there.
That's less than 1/8 of an inch, so that shouldn't bring it down that much.
That's when you just rip it right out of that case when it comes back to you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's not like the biggest book in the world to me, but I felt like they really screwed me on that. But I'm not the kind of person that's going to dick around with slabs and keep resubbing stuff until I get what I want. Like, I send it in, it gets what it gets, and then I do with it what I do with it, and that's it. I move on. I don't try to dwell on this stuff, but yeah, that was best 3 I've ever seen. It's staining was the thing, and I didn't see the stain, so it's one of those stains that they saw, maybe with the black light or something. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I went to a guy who just got a book back from CGC, showed it to me. He was pretty upset he got a 6.0, and I looked at it and I says, I think it's a 7.5 at least. But he said that they've got all these. I said, what do the graders notes say? And graders notes were 1 line. And I'm like, okay, well, that really aggravates me more than anything else. Because, you know, if it's something he could have worked on. Now, should he have pressed it? Yeah, I kind of recommended him to get it pressed. But I think he just wanted to get it out of the way.
You know, I think
it was a big boy book, too.
Some of these walkthrough books I've paid for, I mean, I feel like that should merit a little video.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's and a nice bottle of whiskey, too.
Yeah, well, the whiskey... so let me do this. The perfect pairing. Yeah, so this is Sean. I was let him put it in the chat, but he didn't, so there you go. Pete Monster. So check him out. He's got probably my favorite collection.
Yeah.
Well, when is Sean coming on the show?
Yeah, we'll get him out here. Yeah.
We'll all drink some whiskey.
Let's check this out. So this is the whiskey he put it with.
Yeah, I saw that. That's awesome.
Devil's Cask. It has the trident on there. At the Devil on the Mask 2 cover. Double the Devil. And the red even matches the red on the mask. I mean, it's just... And this copy is just... The colors are so rich on this copy.
There's so many questions I could ask. Like, what was the hardest pairing he's had to do? Or is there a book he would have a hard time buying because it would be so hard to pair with a liquor?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. We'll have to ask him. He said he's in the chat. He says that would be fun. So maybe we can get him on here and just
I'll reach out to him. I got him. Yeah, we talk about once or twice a week sometimes.
Here's another good Namor.
Oh yeah,
drawing.
Which one's that? Is that 11?
This is 15.
15. Okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, that's
like his eyebrows.
Yeah.
Good wings on there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the tunnel that goes to New York City or something?
Yep. Yeah.
The tunnel under the sea. And then isn't there the next one that's like the sequel to that shows the diagram of the tunnel?
That's like 20 something. I can't remember. So are we going to address that crazy video with the all the shenanigans?
What video?
The shenanigans with the
WADA games.
Yeah. Come on, JD. You must have seen that.
I mean, I don't mind speaking my mind on stuff, but I know, look, I will say when it comes to stuff like this, even the businesses and the companies in the hobby have people that we know personally that are also in the hobby themselves. So it's difficult to criticize these corporate actions sometimes because it also tends to, you think, reflect on the people that you're also friends with that are associated with some of these companies. I get that. But when certain things get to a certain point where quality is lacking or credibility is lacking, it's incumbent on us to call that out and keep them accountable, the organizations. And unfortunately, there's going to be people that might take personal offense to that because they're associated with those organizations. But everybody else is possibly being harmed by some things that are going on. So, that without going step by step through that whole thing, look, I've been saying for a while that the video game market is a bubble. I think it's a bubble. You can look at the price increases on it. and the people who are out there pushing the games and advertising the prices, and without even doing the investigative journalism that guy did, you get the sense that it's being pumped up to a level that's artificial. I believe that is, it doesn't mean I hate Heritage or I hate WATA games, but I think they are both two players that are helping to pump up this beyond its natural limits. And it's obvious to see. And the one thing from that video that really stuck with me, I watched that video twice. I didn't realize it as much until after he said it, and I thought about it, and I watched the video again, and I've been thinking about that. I don't see a lot of collectors of these video games out there showing off the video games. I see a lot of investors. I see a lot of high-end sort of speculators. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like the more than 50% of that market right now is not collectors, as opposed to like Silver Age Keys, Silver Age Comics. I feel like way more than 50% of that is collectors. You know how many ASM collectors there are, Silver Age ASM collectors? That's like 85 to 90% of that market. Okay, so that's solid. Even if all the speculators go somewhere else, you got a solid market. The video games, I feel like it's mostly speculators and pumpers and stuff like that. And, Heritage Auctions makes a ton off of them. So it behooves them to have a really strong market with high prices. So, yeah, of course they would want those prices to be high. They're going to advertise high sales. As far as the individual shenanigans about people at Heritage, I don't know. I mean, that guy put some pretty good points. But, it ultimately comes down to when you're in the hobby, in collectibles hobby, you need to do your own research and reach your own conclusions and not just follow along like sheep. You need to really develop some knowledge and some experience and a gut feeling. And then when you see something, if it doesn't sit right with you, then don't do it. And I feel like if everybody did that, these prices would, the only people left holding the bag getting hurt at the end if a bubble crashes and pops is going to be the people that caused it in the first place. It's sort of like a game of musical chairs. It's like they're going to pump this up until the music stops, and whoever's left standing without a chair is the one who's going to get hurt. And I feel like chances at this point are it's going to be people that are helping create these inflated prices. Now, that being said, I think video games are highly collectible. They have a lot of nostalgia, but $1 million for a Mario Brothers game, and how many are there? We don't know. WATA won't release the census, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, there's shady things going on that I think there's like, I don't know. There's like common sense, right? For me, is like, it's a giant corporation. At the end of the line, like CGC is going to care about if they could sell their company, or if they could go public, and like that's the bottom line, is what they care about. And then I voiced it before, I always didn't think it was too ethical to have a grading company or a grading company and a restoration company together. I always thought that was a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
And but because of that, I mean, I wouldn't bet the farm on any of that. You just go as you have to, like, it's like a tax, a rich person shenanigans tax, where you have to,
Yeah.
like if this is like our last $1 million, and if we don't blah blah blah, then we're screwed. I mean, you can't trust a corporation for that. And then
So
any company that grades and doesn't put up census numbers, I don't care what the reason is, that's shady stuff. And
Yeah, but CBCS didn't do it for a while, and now they do.
glad they did. I'm very happy that they did.
and
I think WATA has to release a census at some point. They just have to. They can't not ever release a census.
or at least say when you're gonna, okay? Because there are legitimate reasons, kind of, that they list, but I don't know. They need to at least say, like, okay, when we reach this many submissions, we're gonna release it, or something like that, And then the third one is, I mean, I just think it's not ethical to, if someone high up in your company gets in trouble for doing some kind of fraudulent thing in collectibles, I don't see how they could be a part of the collectibles corporation.
Yeah, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt that they've been reformed, because not a lot of people know my history, but I've been reformed. I've done things in my life that I have changed to become a better person. So
That's
I
true.
give people the benefit of the doubt on that. But, and look, there's people that cry foul when people who work at Heritage bid on stuff that's in Heritage auctions. But I know some of the guys at Heritage that bid on stuff in the Heritage auctions, and they pay for it, and it's because they like it and they want it and they're collecting.
And they're allowed. They
should be allowed to be in the hobby too. I mean, it helps. I mean, you don't want people working in a collectibles company that are not interested in collectibles. I mean, so I want them to be passionate about the stuff. They should be able to bid on it too. Exactly. But when you have the only people that's paying millions of dollars for Mario Brothers games are these, these companies where you can buy shares of it, or high-end speculators, or the owner of one of the owners of Heritage is buying it himself, winning the bid, and then putting out the advert that, to say, look what Heritage sold, and he's the one that bought it. I don't feel like there's any collectors buying that at that price. I feel like it's just those guys and girls, and if that bubble pops, whoever's left holding those Marios that they paid that for are going to get hurt. What it does hurt is the people who want to collect video games who can't afford it now. They're not going to be financially hurt. They're just sort of out of the loop right now because they can't afford to be in it.
It does.
So yeah, there's some shady stuff, but who's ultimately going to get hurt? I feel like they're going to hurt themselves, because if the video game market crashes, who gets hurt the most? WATA gets creamed. Heritage will lose a lot of money. Some of these speculators that are holding these games now that are not worth $1 million anymore, they're going to get hurt. It's going to hurt. They're just going to hurt themselves anyway. But yeah, there's a lot of shadiness. Some of it's not necessarily shady, but it looks shady. I mean, when Jim Halperin is the winning bid on a high-end video game and he's bidding on it and winning it and then putting the press release out that they sold it, well, did you? Because you bought it.
And all this business about employees are not allowed to collect comics, yet you're like classified as like a, I don't know, consultant, so it doesn't apply to you. There's just, of course, there's
a lot of shady stuff.
There's loopholes for these people.
But it doesn't mean it doesn't mean everything is shady and all of it's fraud.
Right.
But there's just a lot of stuff that has the appearance of impropriety, and some of it's almost hard to. Common sense would say this is improper. Yeah, I mean, does it make me not want to buy stuff on Heritage? No, it makes me not want to buy video games at all anywhere. I'll tell you that. But
let's go over exactly. So, because I didn't watch the video, I had somebody reach out to me, says this is why, they're frustrated or whatever about that market, and you think it's affecting the comic market. And I happen to think that a certain book that sold a couple of months ago by a different company didn't really sell, because I saw it offered, that exact book was offered by another guy who has an affiliation with that company at the same time. Mm-hmm. And the guy who he offered it to, I know very well. And I'm like, well, how did you sell that book the other day for all that money and then offer it to somebody else? And I question that, but I don't think it's rampant, right? We have to get that out of the way. I don't think it's rampant, but what doesn't look right, I guess, let's go over exactly what was happening. There was a Super Mario Brothers video game, graded or whatever, sealed, and the industry, that CGC is now in that business. So let's get that out of the way as well. So sorry for your delay in your books getting back to you, but they've got more things to grade. So apparently this price on this book and on this comic, the video game was $2 million, and it set a record. And the buyer was found out to be a secondary company. Is that what I'm?
Well, first of all, there was one that sold for like, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was like 75,000, and then 400,000, and then $1 million, and then like 2 million or something. It jumped massively over the very short period of time.
Right.
The buyers were like Rally bought one, and that's a company that buys it and puts it on their website, and then you can buy shares of it.
Yep.
You can trade shares of the. So
I
they
don't
bought.
really agree with that. I think you shouldn't put your money into those things.
No, I mean, look, I
If you were
don't.
to take my advice,
I think that's a legit sale.
Which I
but
never
that's not
would.
a sale to a collector. That's what I'm saying. Like that sale doesn't necessarily by itself give me confidence that that video game's worth that, because the company who bought it is selling shares in it. It wasn't bought by a collector. There's no collector that game went to.
Right.
When Jim Halpern bid and won a game for a very high amount, and then they put a press release out showing Heritage sold this video game for this amount. I mean, maybe Jim Halpern's a collector, but I suspect that also is not a collector sale. That was just more of a speculator type sale. Yeah, so these sales don't necessarily.
and it came right
impression
around
that
the
hobby
CGC announcement of grading. I felt like almost like someone from WADA or wanted to prop up WADA, wanted to make sure that right before WADA was sold or whatever the hell, like, or it's this CGC thing, it had to like, hey, the top game ever is a WADA. You
Yeah,
know?
maybe, but look, even and look if
There's a
if
lot
an
of weird
auction
timing
company-
on all this as well.
Yeah, but if an auction company owns a grading company, there's people out there crawling foul about it. It's not just on its face bad. It might not be. I mean, it makes sense if you're auctioning off collectibles to own a grading company so that you can grade them first. That makes sense. It doesn't necessarily mean it's fraudulent. So I don't have a problem with grading companies or auction houses owning grading companies necessarily. You know, unless you can point to the fact that the grades are just definitely wrong and they're just giving everything 9/8 and it's just bullshit. But just because an auction company owns a grading company doesn't, they're not necessarily, I mean, it makes sense if you're an auction company selling a ton of collectibles, and Heritage buys collections. I mean, they go out and buy collections, and the guys that work at Heritage buy individual books. They go to cons.
They do.
They load up.
Yeah.
They're buyers and resellers. They're not just an
all
auction
the
house
time. Yeah.
assignments. They have their own material that they buy and resell. So it makes sense to own a grading company so that they can have their stuff graded and then auction it off on their site. That doesn't necessarily mean it's fraudulent, unless you can point to the grades on that stuff being just clearly wrong and inflated. Now,
but wait a minute.
That allegation is not as widespread as just, oh, they can't own a grading. Well, they can own a grading company. They're in the collectibles hobby. They grade stuff and then they auction it off. I don't see that per se being wrong.
Well,
You know
but
what I mean?
why was he acquitted with the coin?
Well, I'm not.
I
That's
mean,
what I'm saying. Like
it's
needs to be
complicated,
looked
you know.
into. It raises a lot of questions, is what I'm saying. Yeah, it raises a lot of questions.
Some of this business practices are actually considered enough illegal to, you know, be acquitted of it. You know, you had to pay millions of dollars or something for the coins. And
Great comment here. Conflict of interest is always complicated. Well, not that one. I'm a fan of Contact 12.
It's tough in the collectibles hobby though, because as far as like an industry or a market, it's much smaller than a lot of other industries and markets out there. And so everybody knows everybody. It's like the whole collectibles market's like one small town. Like the comic book market is, the whole industry is like one small town. Like, you know, people that work at CGC, you know, people that work at Heritage, you know, some of the high-end investors and speculators, and you know, some of the smaller collectors. Like, everybody knows everybody. And people who work at Heritage bid on those books, and they want the books, they should be able to bid on them too. People who don't work at Heritage, who send books in, will shill bid their own stuff up. I mean, it's not just, there's shit, you got to look out for your own ass out there, okay? There's
yeah,
all
and it's
kinds
not
of
just the
people.
it's not
just,
collectibles.
it's not like
everything.
everybody is honorable. It's one giant honorable party, and then Heritage and WADA are out there being sketchy. There's sketchy stuff everywhere.
Yes.
And it's
Yep.
more high profile
seen
when the companies have appearances of this stuff. And so, yeah, there's sketchy stuff out there, but you just got to watch yourself out there, and you got to learn the market and go with your gut and not just follow along with sales data like a sheep. Because there's some stuff that I ask if something's for sale and they quote me GPA, and I'm like, I offer something way low. They get insulted because it's a lowball offer, and then 2 months later, that's what it's worth. Well, it wasn't a lowball offer; it was a legit offer. It just wasn't in line with bullshit sales data. Like, I was just talking to somebody today about Giant Size X-Men. Okay, that book was selling at $9,000 and at 8.5 like a couple months ago. It's selling at like between $5,000 and $6,000 now. It's dropped like 40% of its value. Okay. There was people that ran out and bought GSX1 at $9,000 for an 8.5. Now they're way, they're underwater on it now. There's manipulation in these markets. There's shady practices, and it's not limited to.
Now, do you think that in the case of that book, is that because sometimes I think of these big, $2 million, it's like, and then people are like, see, it didn't affect it at all because we had these heritage auctions and everything was just fine. But it's because it's like, who's even buying these? Like you said,
Right.
It's like 0.051% of anyone buying this stuff.
Well, you can manipulate a market on anything. You just can't. It's just a degree to which you can manipulate it.
But
there was somebody out there buying X-Men 1s.
But did GSX? But did that GS1 X1 because of the 9.8? I mean, did that really? Is that an example of the high price pulling up all the rest, and then it's kind of that bottom or middle that really got screwed?
Yeah, it does. I mean, look at Marvel Spotlight 5 for an example. I would not touch Marvel Spotlight 5 with a 10-foot pole right now. I'll be honest with you. Okay, a 9.8 sold for what, $250,000?
But that's a 9.8, like I tell you.
I know, but look, is that a legit price? I don't know who bought it. It wouldn't surprise me if that was a fake price. It wouldn't surprise me if that was a legit price. It's super rare 9.8. It's a legit book. I get it. $250,000. It still seems high, but I'll buy it unless I hear something otherwise. But then you got 9.4s going for what, $25,000 for a freaking 9.4 bronze book. Yeah, it's rare and high grade. I get it. Then you got 9.0s. People are asking like $12,000 or some shit.
Yeah, and
8.5s are like, somebody's got an 8.5 right now for $10,000. Okay, at some point it's just silly. $10,000 for.
I've had a Marvel Spotlight 5
and a VF Plus. That's retarded price. I would not be paying $10,000 for a Marvel Spotlight 5 and 8.5. Yeah, it's rare and high grade, relatively, but I mean, $10,000. I mean,
still
I think that's
a Bronze Age book.
Well, how much is entry now?
Well, I mean, a 4.0 is like $1,200 or something.
Well, I'm saying raw 200, 500. I mean, how much has that gone up?
Well, like a raw 2.0?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, a raw 2.0. If I had a raw 2.0, how much would I list it for sale? I mean, I would look it up just to see what people are paying, but I would think a raw 2.0, I would probably ask, and I'm just winging it here, but probably $700. I feel like somebody would pay $700 for that. Now, if I wouldn't pay $700 for it, but if somebody else wants to, it's not for me to stop them. You know what I mean? But
the world of shield bidding isn't new, but it's something that I'll just brief story. So I lost out on an item on eBay one time, and the seller called me or messaged me and said, "Hey, that guy backed out of the sale. Do you want it?" And I'm like, wait a second here. How did you know I bid on it? And then I wasn't the underbidder. And then I just happened to know who the underbidder was because we're both going after the same book. And he contacted me on the boards and he goes, that guy drove that price up because we talked about it. So we discussed about the shield bidding with the guy and we just block him as a seller. That's what I do. I've heard about it, and Sean brought up a good point here. I've seen it more in the Silver Age Marvel keys, where I keep saying certain things in the market make you scratch your head. I always say the one that I brought up about a year ago, whenever it happened, was that first time that Werewolf by Night 12 sold for $50,000. That's the one where I stopped everything right there and I said, "Wait a second."
Wait, Werewolf by Night?
No,
32?
32, yeah. 32. The first Moon Knight, $50,000 for a 9.8 at that time, and
Is
this
that
was
right around that Fantastic Four 52
It-
as well? There was a
no,
9.8 of that went.
it was well, and at the same auction, a Hulk 181, which is obviously there's a lot more of, but Hulk 181 sold for 32,000 in the same grade. And my question to that was, how did that book that doesn't have the speculation at the time, it was speculation, but how did that? And now I see what's going on now, where things going for $250,000 and everything out there. You have to kind of go back and think about it and say, when you scratch your head, if you're not comfortable, do what I did. Stepped back and I said, I've already had them and I'm not interested in those prices. I just want, actually, the books I have, I'm lucky enough to have all the books I wanted. There are more I want, but majority of the ones I have, obviously the Adventure 34 ranks number one, but what made me concerned about this video game, whatever controversy, was it was so out in the open. It wasn't like it was under our noses. It was out there. And so I'm not really,
in the digital age, you can't hide any of it.
I don't know if I kind of think it happened. Okay. Is it going to kill it? You hear all these people saying this is the end of that industry. I don't agree with that. I do think people are going to become that, do their research and find that will be very suspect when they see a, Metroid go for $150,000 or whatever like that, or a Double Dribble or something like that. And, I don't know. You're going to have to take that into account for that industry. Do we have that in Golden Age comics? Absolutely, we have had it, because everybody knows that first time that Superman book went for $1 million, the Action one, and then when Nick Cage bought, I guess he's the first one to spend $1 million, and then Gretzky, somebody else bought it for 2.6, and then another guy bought it for 3.3, and now there's one that's coming up, I guess in 8 months or so. There's one that's coming out that it's the 9.0 is coming back out for sale, and they're going to want the $9 million or whatever. Again, is it the 0.1% or the foreign money or the Bitcoin money, whatever you want to say, that's foreign money out there that is investing, the hedge fund money that is investing in these collectibles, have the same rights as we do? They just have bigger, deeper pockets, and they kind of have helped our industry and our collectibles ourselves. Be honest with you, I have reaped the rewards of some of the more recent news and stuff like that. I have quietly, taken advantage of the markets and sold some things to purchase some stuff I needed, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. But the shill bidding or whatever you want to call this, the overinflating and look at the new highest grade number in this, that doesn't shock me anymore, because they're all doing it. I know for a fact that one book that sold for a couple of $1 million was offered to somebody at the same price the same week after the sale was announced. And you couldn't deny it in a million years. When I called him out on it, I says, how the hell do you have that if you sold it overseas? You said, well, we was waiting for the guy to come pick it up. Bullshit. I researched it and found out there never was a guy who was willing to pay that price. It was a hidden sale that they put on the. It wasn't an auction. Remember, it was a hidden sale that they just published the set price. And
well,
then
you see it to a smaller degree and I say smaller degree because there's just less of them. But in the Golden Age, like Dark GA world, you'll see sometimes a book be passed around from one guy to another, and they're all buying it to sell, and they're all paying a higher price than the last person. Eventually somebody gets stuck with it and has to take a loss.
A hot potato.
And, that happens in all of these markets. There's shill bidding in every auction, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the auction house. They can't prevent it. You can't stop it. It just happens. You just got to stick to your own prices, and then shill bidding becomes irrelevant, because if you're willing to pay up to a certain point for a book, if it goes higher than that, then you pass on it. then it doesn't matter if it's shill bidding or not, because you're sticking to your own gut and your own prices. But when you have a noticeable, you'll notice it too. Some books are organically growing in value and people are buying them, and you know who's getting it for Golden Age. You'll know who's buying it. They want the book, and it's just rabid bidding by guys who want the book, and it drives the price up. That's organic, and I see that. But then you also
the entire Promise collection is all organic. I'm
the
convinced.
prices go up, and you see the same book being resold, and you get a feel that there's a large percentage of the current market for a particular book is just people who are flipping it and speculating and trying to get a little higher the next time. And I'm not talking like I'll do it. I'll buy a book in an auction if I think it's a good price, and then maybe 6 months later I'll sell it at a profit and get something else. That's everybody does that. But you'll see, like it happened with Mask One. It happened with some of the Baker stuff last year. You'll see people are just buying it so they can just flip it, and they'll pay whatever and just flip it because everybody thinks that the price is just skyrocketing, and so they just want to get it so they can flip it for a profit. And you get a feel that you see that happening. There's a noticeable percentage of sales of a particular book are that and not collectors, and then that undermines my confidence in those current prices because it's not based on collector demand. There's a lot of speculator and flipper demand mixed in with that that's affecting the price. But let me say with like the high grade bronze 9.8 type stuff,
the GPA inflation,
the super ultra high grade keys, whether it be silver or bronze or gold, are very volatile. Okay, we saw it with Cap One where a 5.0 sold for like 70 grand, and then a 2.0 sold for 70 grand. You know, and then you'll see like a 9.8 Hulk 181 or a 9.8 GSX will fluctuate, you know, wildly at these high grades and 9.8s. There's a lot of volatility on the high end. There is strong collector demand for those. There's a lot of investors out there buying those, but they're highly volatile. They're not representative of the market. But when you see those prices, it affects, it's like a domino effect down the census. And then people are like, oh, a 9.8 selling for $250,000. Well, what's a 9.6? Must be 80,000. Well, what's a 9.4? It must be 40,000. Yeah, that's okay to a point, but then when you get to like 8.0, 7.5, it doesn't hold water anymore because these are not ultra high grade like status symbol grades. So you just got to be careful out there, and there's a lot of manipulation. There was a guy who was buying up every X-Men 1 he could find.
Yep.
He was buying everyone that came up, driving the price up, and it looked like there was rabid demand. There's a lot of X-Men 1s out there, but if you do that for like 2 months, you buy up every copy, it looks like they're just selling like hotcakes, and you're just desperate to get one, and people paying up for it. That's not organic, though. That's manipulation. That can happen with Silver Age books or Bronze Age books or video games, and it does happen in all of those, and you just got to watch your ass.
Yep.
I think Heritage and WATA got caught up in the video game manipulation. There's a lot of other people manipulating other markets that are just low profile. They're not going to make the news, so to speak.
Right.
Well, what happened with the end of that GSX story,
though? What's GSX story?
I feel like you were bringing that one up.
Well, how much it went down? I mean,
no. Somebody wanted one of my books today, and asked me if I would do trades. And my answer these days is just no, because people don't ever want to give you anything good. They want to dump a bunch of crap on you to get good stuff. And trading is also it's become such a waste of time to even discuss it, unless it's somebody you're friends with or somebody you know personally that you. People want to do crap
at a con.
Like there's somebody that one of my books wanted to know if it would trade, and then they're throwing stuff out, and I'm like, none of that really interests me. I'm like, if you have like one big silver key or something, we can work together. And he tells me, well, I don't really have any of that right now. And then over the next few days, he's listing those for sale. He has them. He doesn't want to give them up. He wants to give up his lower end crap to get the higher end crap. That's usually how trades go. So this guy offered me a GSX in an 8.5. But it's not worth what he thinks it's worth to me. Like, to me, it's not worth what the market's telling him it's worth. It's just not worth that to me. And it hasn't been for months, and it's still not. I'm not going to be surprised when an 8.5 GSX is $3,500 at the end of the year.
Yep.
It's going to be back down to January price. There's just a million of them out there, and everybody who wanted one has gone and got it. And it's like, it's old news now. It's not, I don't want an 8.5 GSX for like a early high grade Silver Age ASM to give up. The Silver Age ASMs I've been picking up, man, those things are money. They're cheap compared to everything else, and they're tough to find in grade, and they're great.
Mm-hmm.
GSX is a dime a dozen, and 8.5 was 9,300 a couple months ago. It's down. The last 3 sales were like 66, 54, and 5,700, and I think it's going further down even than that.
One of the you bring up the best point about the GSX-1, and we joke about ASM 300 on here all the time. That's the other example where I have people offer me and trade that book, and I said, listen to me, I've had that book 7-8 times. I've flipped it so many times, I'm never flipping it again. It's gotten to the point where I don't even know where these things are going, and it's not that it's too common of a book for me. It's why I don't collect common stuff usually. Why I collect original art, because there's only one. Why I collect some of the wanted comics, because they're hard to find, or whatever I like to do. I collect what I want to collect. When people like DS brings up a good point, if you know what you're comfortable with, you can avoid your manipulation by setting a limit on what you're going to pay for it, and it might be thousands less than where the current quote unquote joke of a GPA is. And I do think some things are joke GPAs. I don't care about the book. I know the book. I know what it's worth. I know how many books there are out there. And, you get all these people says, well, the last sale on eBay was, another thing I heard, there was a sign posted on Instagram that somebody said it was complaining at a comic book store that says, we have the right to check eBay before we sell any book to you. Well, then don't put a price tag on anything and just do a swap meet. I mean, that's exactly what you're doing. If you have a price tag out there, one of my favorite things I like to do is I go out and I look at a price. If it's the right price, I choose to buy it. I don't go to a place where if I bring the book up for 150, and I'm known at some of these shops and stores to where, I've heard the whispers and stuff like that. Whatever he buys, double check the price on eBay. I'm like, I'm not coming back if you're doing that. I'm going to buy. I spend money, but what's the big deal? Just because, one of the things I did one time was I traded in the entire run of God of Thunder, the whole run. And I still had the price tags of the $4 price tags on every single one from when I bought them originally. And I sold it back to the store with their stickers on it. With those $4 stickers on it, right back to him. And he knew I got 50% off because I bought them all on that 50% off day, because that's when I would do my most shopping. And he's like, I said, yeah, I'm really interested in these things. I said, of course you are. Everybody wants these. So here they are. Here's the whole run, including the variants. And here's a second copy of them, the whole run. I've got it a few times. So I love the run, don't get me wrong. But I realized if I can flip this for a couple of $1,000 and I have the actual price I paid for the whole set is $54.
Yeah, definitely.
4 years ago. But the exact comment I got was, it's bullshit that you bought them from me 2 years ago. I says, no, it's not bullshit, because your entire existence of a shop is based on the value of what you purchase going up in price. And you can't not knock it. And that's where when I get people that complain, and a shop owner has a right to do whatever he wants, but so do you as a consumer. Do whatever the hell you want. And
I'll tell you something that really annoys me, and this does not make me many friends because people don't like to hear me say this, but I cringe when I just hear people blindly out there saying, support your local LCS, support your LCS. I mean, some of them are good, yes, but support your LCS. But when you bring a collection into your LCS, man, it's low ball. The lowest ball offers in the industry. Take comics to an LCS and see what they offer you for them. Yeah. Okay. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But, if they've got it, look, I'm not supporting a business.
They can't complain when you buy something that they priced.
But some of these shops have terrible business plans.
And they rip off everyone.
And they're drowning and they're not making it. And we're supposed to bail them out by going and giving them money. And one perfect example is these places that they buy collections or they have back issues or whatever, and they put them in dollar bins. Okay, they have less than $1 average in those books. Obviously, they're pennies in those books usually, but they have them in dollar bins, and then they want a price check in case some random ass book in their dollar bin just popped to $15 on eBay. You know what? Keep your goddamn dollar books is how I feel about it. If I were doing that, and I don't run a shop, okay, but I sell books, and I feel like I know how to sell things, and I know what I think you should do when you're selling. If you have a dollar bin that people know you might have $15 books in there, man, you're going to have people streaming through the doors to get deals on those books, to rip you off, to get a steal on a book, a $15 book for $1. Let them. That's the whole point. The whole point of the dollar bins, it's crap inventory that you want to move. It's just taking up space. Man, if people think you're giving away stuff for $1, that's $15. Yeah, be like, hey, no price checks. We haven't looked in 2 weeks. There could be hot keys. Come in and get them for $1. I mean, people come in.
Great
I
business plan.
load up
And
boxes.
then they buy all the other stuff.
I'll be like, well, it's a short box. There's 150 in there. You can have it for $150. Well, they'll be like, maybe there's some hot book in there. Good for you. Take the whole fucking box out the door for $150. That's the point of the dollar bin stuff, is to just move it. It's crap. Just get what you can out of it and move
To
it.
get people to come in there.
Yeah.
That's
I know,
I
but
mean,
they want to price check you on every one like rinky dink. I'm not supporting an LCS like that. That's not a way to be a seller. That's like nickel and diming customers to death. And that's just
Poor business plan.
I mean, I don't like that, man. Look, you have.
I mean, you can
like,
support your
other
local
stuff.
comic shop by buying supplies from them and stuff like that you need. That's what I think they're best at anyway. Because in reality, the comic market is what it is, or in what we do, and we know it better. And you know, unfortunately, I tell them this. I says, I know more about this shit than you do. I know I do. So you can't, you know, if your employee sits there and wants to sell me a book and then double check it, and you have it marked at 80, and then he says, well, the last sale on eBay was 220. We're going to do 220 on it. I'm like, well, I'm not going to give you 220. I'm going to give you the $80, or I'm not going to give you $1. And that's it. And the last conversation I had with the guy was he called me back, and he called me up on the phone and says, hey, you know, this thing, and this is the same type of a person who, or same group of people, and you're going to hear this one. If you're a collections buyer, and for those of you that buy collections, there's nothing worse than a cherry-picked collection to buy. It's useless to me. And I tell people that. He goes, did you already take this to a shop? Yeah, I took it to a shop, and they took out like 5 books. I'm like, great.
Right.
Get those 5 books back. Give them their money back. Go get those 5 books back, and I'll buy your collection. But as of right now, that collection is useless to me.
Well, you know, these shops will
when
buy
a guy gives me a list of the books, and it's Werewolf by Night 3rd, 32, Hulkling 81, and everything, I said, they're all missing. You have Werewolf by Night 1 through 50, but you're missing 32. You have Tomb of Dracula 2 through 15, but you're missing 1 and 10. Or you miss, and you know,
or the classic example is Secret Wars 1 through 12, missing 8.
Missing 8, yeah. Or, and the other one I just recently had was, I've got all this DDC books. I have all these Batman, all these things. It's great. Where's 181?
Yeah.
And where's this, you know, first appearance of this? I put those on eBay already. So what you have right now is low grade crap. And I'm not going to buy it because it's just space for me. I mean,
well, when comic shops buy collections, or when anybody, I've bought collections, but when you buy a collection, you're buying a collection for a couple books. There's a couple books in there, and that's why you're buying it.
But we're all doing.
Most people will sell the good books first. I know some dealers will sell all the crap first. Yeah. Otherwise, they don't have a motivation to even move it. So they'll keep the good stuff till last. But normally you buy a collection for a couple books. You get those books. You make your money on those books. What you have left over is just crap. Now, when comic shops buy these collections, they buy them for the keys. They pull the keys out. They put the keys on their wall. They price their keys. They sell their keys. They make their profit.
Yep.
Then they have boxes of stuff that's really not that great. You have some options at that point. You can just move it quick, which I think is a good idea. Just underprice everything and get it out the door quick. Get whatever you get off of that is gravy anyway. It makes a space. You're done with it. That collection is done. It's all gravy on the leftover stuff anyway. Or you can just go through and reprice it very incrementally. You know, $1, $5, $7. You can do claim sales with $5 to $7 books, and major dealers do this. They want to squeeze every dollar out of their books. That's fine. or you can just put them in a dollar bin and people can come in and grab them. But if you're going to do that, don't price check them. Okay. This is leftover stuff from other collections. Your goal is to move it out the door with zero input of resources with this. You don't want to input any more resources. You don't want to pay somebody to price them. You don't want to waste time at the register. You don't want to piss off customers and spending goodwill that you could have and wasting that. You want to sell it with as little extra resources into it as possible, just efficiently, and just get it out the door as fast as you can. That saves you time. It saves you money. It saves you space. That's the goal. And they don't even want to do the work sometimes. They want to just wait for you to bring the books up, and then they'll check on eBay. So basically, you're doing their work by pulling out the stuff that might be worth more than $1. And then they're like, okay, thanks. Now you got to pay more than $1. Just pisses people off. And then if that's your LCS, my advice is don't support them. Don't support that LCS. Let them go out of business, and then somebody can buy the whole store's leftover inventory and open a new LCS in town and maybe run it better. That's what I think.
We have
The last time I went to one, they had all these new collection. He's like, yeah, a new it's marked, a quarter or whatever. It's probably not a quarter, whatever, some ratio like X amount for $1 or whatever. But then he starts going like, yeah, most of them. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like he's got to make sure I don't have some crazy thing in there. And it's like, Jesus Christ, I am not wasting my time doing this. And they forget the most essential thing about a good business deal is the best deal is when both parties think they rip the other person off.
Right. When nobody's happy,
no one's
everybody
going to think
wins.
that when you check eBay price. How are they going to be happy about that?
Yeah. That's one of those, I tell everybody this, when I make trades or do anything like that, when everybody's upset at the end of the day, we've all did well.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's a fair trade, when no one's happy.
There's a misunderstanding in markets about resources. People get fixated on money. Money is a resource. There are other resources more valuable than money in business. Time is your most valuable resource because you can never recover it. You can always recover the other ones. Space is a valuable resource, okay? You have a bunch of crap taking up space in your shop. You're paying rent for that space, and you have stuff that's not making money in that space. Space is a resource, or you don't have a big enough place. People is a resource. Having a lot of people, having good people, having just the right amount of people, having one right person instead of two that need one person can do the work of two. Like, people is a resource. Space is a resource, okay? Your inventory is a resource. How you use these resources is how you are successful in business. And so many businesses in the comic industry are fixated on money, and that's it.
And I think also another thing,
goodwill is a resource. That's how much your customers like you, your reputation, how much people want to just come into your shop.
I was going to say that, yeah.
People want to come in and hang out and not buy anything. I would love that as a business owner. I'd be come in and just hang out. Yes, you can read the issues. You don't even have to buy anything. That's a resource, man. You have customers are a resource. That goodwill is a resource. It's not just money, man. And some of these LCSs elevate money above all else. Mm-hmm. And the money is less important than some of the individual other resources. But when you have all the resources you're throwing out in favor of just one of money, it's losing.
Yeah, I mean, imagine, so like a local one around here is like, sometimes you're just like, I hate that guy. Like, I'll come back from it and I'm just like, the guy was a jerk, it's like, and whatever, like, people have bad days or whatever, but like, you can tell the difference when like there's a good person and it's not that hard, Jesus. Right. And then, but it's like, am I ever going to tell anyone to go there?
Right.
Never.
Right.
Never.
That's the best way to end this.
Be pleasant.
Same thing.
And you could be, and you should have some little crap to sell that's like, I don't know, soda or something.
For the kids, something for the kids.
You can look, when you have leftover books, or even any books, as a dealer or as a seller, your time is so underappreciated in this hobby. It's just money. I see people put books out there at 15% above GPA, and they'll be putting it out there over and over for 6 months, and it will finally sell. And they think that's a win. It's not. You have lost because you got the money you wanted. You've lost 6 months of your time. You could have taken 10% under GPA and taken less money and gotten it quick and put that money back to work for you and churned it and turned it a couple, 2, 3, 4 times during that 6 months. It's not just the money. The time is far more important. And if you can churn and burn and turn stuff over quick as a shop, dollar bin books, get them out the door, get that money that you can use towards something else is much more valuable than price checking dollar books in case it hit $10 on eBay. That's not worth it. And these shops are not succeeding, and then I'm not supporting that LCS basically. So
Yeah.
But what about, okay, you know, we talked about how the GSX one can affect you. Has there been books where you think if they have been artificially inflated, they're going to affect you, or they might affect you, and like, would you still buy it anyway? Or
All the time. I believe that every Carnage, every first appearance of Carnage is artificially. I mean, I've had the book. I have no desire to own it anymore, but I love Mark Bagley's artwork on it, and it's one of my favorite books to see in a slab. It's one of my favorite, coolest covers ever. But the fact that 361 or whatever it is, and what I literally was talking to somebody about this, as I said, that is a $10 book for the last 30 years, whenever it came out. It was cheap. Then it got up to about $100. But the reason why it's going a lot more now is because more people want to spend more money on it, and good for them, good for the buyers if you're happy with it, and good for the sellers if you make the money on it. Is it artificial? It's all artificial, guys, because the real price of these books is what the price was when it came out.
Yeah.
That's what they were. Whatever is inflated now, it's all artificial. It's all based on supply, demand, and what we want.
The best way to be most efficient with your money as a buyer, if you want to maximize your investment value and minimize your cost, the best piece of advice I can give is get rid of your yearly want lists, because those give you blinders and you get tunnel vision, and you have books that you've told yourself you have to get this year, and then you are a prisoner to the market, to the prices. There's books I want, and they're too pricey, so I'll just go after all these freaking books are cool. So I just leave myself options. I'm more of an opportunist. I don't make a want list anymore, because I don't know if the things I put on my want list are going to be at prices that I want to pay this year.
Yeah.
And it could be sometimes or a $10,000 book. It's not the level of it. It's just, if you're making want lists, you're going to be paying more than you need to for books over the year.
I do think Golden Age, though.
Getting certain things.
What about? I do think Golden Age, though, is can be a little different in some cases. I can give you an example. I started getting, a little friendly with some dealers, and they told me, like, they just start talking to you, and they giving you some information that maybe you wish you didn't hear or whatever, but they say, like, some of these books are so rare that they're artificially, they can be easily monopolized. And I feel, a couple of dealers have talked to me about that and said, it can be tough, and they feel a little bit bad because they know what's going on with some of these books, and the fact that people have them. There aren't many of them, and it's easy to, back then, I think it might be a little harder now with so many auctions, but back then when they came up, if they owned it, they would bid on that same book. Yeah. And worst case, they got another copy of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And other case, they pumped up they guarded their asset.
I don't have a problem with that, though. I don't think that's fraudulent or dishonorable, because you are just acting within the framework of the hobby to protect your investment, and I don't see anything wrong with that. And if you are ultimately willing to lay out the money to get a second copy, I mean, you're not. I don't have a problem with that. I have done that. Okay, there's books that I own that don't have a really concrete value out there, because there's not many of them. And when one comes up for auction, I will bid on it up to the level I think mine is worth, even though people have told me they don't want to pay me for that. And then worst case scenario is I will win that copy and I'll have two. Okay, win-win. I'm not pumping up the prices and manipulating the market. I legit like this book. I think it has a certain value. And if I can get another one, I will. And you know what happens inevitably? It goes too high, even beyond what my value is. And so I don't get the second copy. But I've done that. I don't think there's anything necessary. That's not shill bidding.
Right. I mean,
Shill
I
bidding
owned it.
of actually winning a book if you win it and paying for it, and you have an investment position that you're maybe trying to protect. But that's not as, I don't have a problem with that. I know
Yeah,
some
I mean,
people-
It's a little bit weird though, because like one book I was after for a while, Higher-ish and Key book, and we were talking, and I was saying I wanted it for this price, and they're like, and I said like, sometimes there's been some that have sold for near what I want to pay for it, and they're like, yeah, well, and they remembered those exact ones, and they're like, that was a mistake, and believe me, I will never let I won't let that book ever sell for under X price. As if he's like
He's
a
in charge.
watchdog, and
Yeah.
it's kind of
Well,
like
that's
it's kind
fine.
of weird, because like, what if? So you're telling me if like one or two of these guys just happens to be sick, then boom, the price GPA is now like half the price. You know what I mean? Like, because normal.
Yeah, but look, the seller's trying out there to sell their books. They don't care who buys it. Whoever buys that book is paying for that book. And then with Golden Age books, when I sell Golden Age books, I just price them what I think they're worth. And it has
Yeah.
no relationship to GPA at all. And sometimes it's less than what I paid for them. Most of the
Yeah.
times it's more than
And
what
I think
paid
if
for it.
probably these guys who have these big books and will put them in auction, where they
Mhm.
could go for ridiculously low, they probably have safeguards for that,
That's true. That's
Yeah.
absolutely true. Yeah.
which is,
I mean,
don't
reserve
really feel
prices
like there's
exist
that
for a
much-
reason.
Yeah, and and some of that's not illegal. Like
Right.
I went to a,
reserve prices should be out there. I mean, if you're selling, a good example is a FF1. If you don't want that, and you want at least 12.5 for your book, let's say whatever grade it is, and you want 12.5 for the book, and so put out there that's the reserve. And if it goes higher, it goes higher. If not, it doesn't sell, that's fine. You can use reserve. I have no problem with reserve. When people start an auction, what drives me nuts is all auctions start at $1. And then when you start to think you're getting a great deal on a book, you're not eventually, because all of a sudden you didn't realize that there's that other bidding going on.
Yeah.
Which
Well, for Golden Age books, when I sell them, I price them what I think they're worth. And
I often am.
usually for a while, nobody will buy them, or most people will disagree with me, and that's
I
fine.
think reserve should
That's fine.
just start at the reserve.
Yep. Start at the reserve.
Not at $1.
I
Yeah.
don't bid on anything that has a reserve, and I know I'm not the only one, because I feel like, what's the point? I'm not investing hope and time and that has a reserve, because just tell us how much you want for it then, man. Like, you're gonna start at $1 and it's like a big Silver Age key. How much do you want for it, man? I mean, just tell us what's
and
the
Tell
price.
us what it is.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's
Or just start the bid. Like,
manipulation.
start the bid at 8,000. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it now.
You don't
Maybe I'll
think
give you a little bit.
if you don't think manipulation is happening even on our smaller levels, I mean, I always feel I could be involved in a shady deal if people are like, here's a book, make an offer. I don't like that,
No, I actually,
because there's a lot of
One
shady
of the
stuff can
things-
go on there.
there's sometimes people have said, I asked for the price of the book, and the guy says to me, well, make me a bid. I said, why don't you tell me what you're trying to sell it for? Because that's what, if it's good, I'll buy it. If it's not, I won't. It's that
Well,
simple.
what I find frustrating is sometimes people will hit me up about a book and be like, hey, do you have this? How much?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I would sell it, but I don't have it listed for sale. And they're like, all right, well, how much? And I said, all right, well, if I were to sell it, I would want X, $1,000. And they're like, what? No way. It's not worth anywhere near that.
Oh, I get that too.
And I'm like, that's fine. That's why it's not listed for sale. And they get all bent out of shape. Like, you hit me up about a book that's not even for
Yeah.
sale. yeah, I'll put a price on it. And sometimes I put a price on it and somebody's like, done deal. And I'm like, shit. Now I gotta sell
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well,
So it
there's,
is both
I mean,
ways.
like I tell everybody, if you say no to a price, I don't take offense to it. I don't take offense to anybody saying no to a price or saying it's too high or it's higher than what I want to spend on that book. Perfectly legitimate. That's fine. That's the price. But if I can work with it, when I offer, let's say, a book for $1,000 and a guy says, would you take 400 for it? And my answer to that is no. They're like, well, I can only go up to 400. I said, well, my best bet for you is to go find a lower grade.
Yeah, it's not the book for you then.
Not the book. This particular book is not, but you can still get the book somewhere else, I'm sure.
Well, sometimes people have books listed that I want, but the asking price is so high that I just won't make an offer. I'll make an offer if you're within the ballpark. If it's high, but if it's ballpark but still high, maybe I'll make an offer. But some people just want really high, and they're like, "But I'm taking offers. Make an offer." I don't even really want to make an offer if it's that high.
There's a guy here. There's a guy here in town who does Silver Age keys flipping, and like DS has, but for the price that you would say would be there, he'll go 30% above GPA and think it's because he's like, you don't understand, this is going to be in a movie. I don't give a fuck if it's going to. I'm sorry for swearing, but I don't give a rat's ass if it's going to be in a movie. That's not why I buy a book. I'm not buying. If I'm buying a book for my personal collection, I could care less if it's appearing in a book. Remember that whole Bloodshot bullshit with those guys with that
movie? I like that.
That's a great movie, but people are like, now the book didn't move. And I'm a big Valiant fan. Sometimes
books go up because of movie spec, because everybody wants to buy it because they think they can flip it because the price will go
buy
up.
on the rumor and you sell on the trailer. That's what I tell everybody.
Sometimes movies will bring popularity to a character or a book or a title and increase its popularity generally, and then it organically will go up in price.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, I feel like people are buying movie spec books because they think they can flip them for profit. Well, that's not a legit sort of demand. That's like artificial price increases. And those things never stick after the movie, it drops down.
They never do. Perfect example, Fantastic Four 45. So
anyway, yeah, I'll tell you, that's a great book anyway. I mean, I've been trying
I love the book. And I'm glad it came back down.
Yeah, but I mean,
I bought it when it came down real low. I was like, all right, now
like Avengers, like Thor has had a resurgence because look, Silver Age Thor books, even early ones in high grade, were dirt cheap for years. Like nobody wanted.
I was paying $80 for Journey into Mysteries, like 90.
Like, Jim 85 was one of the better Jims.
$600 for my 6.5. Yeah.
Is that a movie spec book? Well, I feel like Loki has become a really iconic MCU character and a more popular character that I think the value to some degree on that book will stick. It may not stick at current prices, but something
Avengers 1 is the best book.
Something like Eternals or Nova, I don't see the values of those sticking. I feel like most of the prices on those are just people who would want to buy it and hold it for the movie trailer and then sell it, and then the price is just going to crash back down.
Yeah,
but like exactly. Thor books now, if you look at like Silver Age Thor books, there's a lot of people looking for those now, and it's because of the MCU and the Avengers movies and the Thor movies and Hemsworth playing Thor that Thor has had a resurgence in popularity, and he's my favorite character of all time in Marvel Comics. But he's had a resurgence in popularity, so those books have gained value, and those values will stick because it's organic. But yeah, some of this other stuff, I mean, it just goes up because of movie news, and then it goes.
Well, have you ever bought a book that you knew was inflated, but you were okay with that?
Yeah, I did. I wasn't too happy with myself, but I kind of think I had to have it as part of my collection, and I thought it was important to have. And yeah, I mean, I bought it for my kids, so I did overpay for an Ultimate Fallout 4. I had one. I've traded one. I've had, that and that first appearance of Gwen, Spider Gwen or whatever. The Edge of Spider-Verse 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
That was for my daughter. Yeah. I didn't care.
Well, I think every book I've bought, there may be an exception I can't think of, but
I paid above cover. You know,
I
that's
have,
what I thought.
I have overpaid for books in the sense that I've paid more than the last sale or more than current GPA. But I have never paid more than what I think the book is worth.
Right.
And I've broken GPA records on a couple books I bought. And I paid that because I felt like that was a good value for that book. And it wasn't in line with GPA, it was more. And some books I will not pay GPA for, but some books, like Golden Age books especially, you got a lot of data on these things, man. You just got to feel like,
Yeah, I mean, I overpaid for my
you
warranty.
just got to wing it sort of and go with your
Well, I
gut.
think
And you're not always
there's-
right, but I've never intentionally overpaid for a book just because I needed to have it. I'll just,
there's one
there's so
book,
much good stuff out there. I can find something else.
there's one book that I was after for a while, and then the more I got to know about it from following it for years, was it really seemed, and some of this I confirmed, but you can't really know it for every copy that's sold, but we're being bought up by the same dealer for whatever reason, I don't know. But and I was really mad about that for a while because I was like, my God, you know, low grade crap copies of this were still going crazy. And I don't think that barred entry should be this high. It just shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because people aren't talking about the book. And then I was really mad. And then eventually I was just like, I just kind of reached a place where I'm like, you know what? I'm willing to pay this much. And because I think that that's not the organic price like you're talking about, you know, like, because if that guy stops caring, then there'll be places where you'll see the book start to sell for like a lot lower price. And, but I was like, I'll buy it. I'll shoot for this high, you know, this is just part of if I want the book now or relatively soon, I just have to, like it or not, that's the market, because there's so few of these that it can be kind of controlled.
Yeah, but see what you're doing there. That is organic, Mike. That's exactly what I'm saying for Golden Age. You reached a point where you're like, based on all these factors, it really you didn't want to pay that much, but I think you just are sort of in denial that it really was worth that to you. And I feel like that's totally organic value on that book. It's just more than you hoped that it would be.
But with this book in particular, which I'll show in a second.
Yeah, I know which one it is too, but
Marvel Mystery 3.
If this, you know, whenever I sell it, which I hope won't be for a long time, it goes for like half of what I paid.
No way, dude.
I wouldn't really be surprised.
Yeah, but it'll go for more than what you paid. But show us. So I think we both know what book it is.
Oh, Action 13. Okay.
Yeah, that book's killer, dude.
I love that book. That was on my top 5 Rushmore books.
There's a lot of reasons to love the book, but I've kind of lost track since I bought mine, which is usually the case, you know.
Yeah, once I own a book, I never look again. Yeah,
and then you're like, I don't want to ever search for that again.
I know, but when you overpay for a book because it's so rare and you don't you don't want to keep passing on it because it's so rare and it's so cool. That sort of is the organic value of these Golden Age books. Mm-hmm. And that is why they go for so much, because people just want them and they're rare. And when one comes up, they don't want to pass on it. And I feel like that is an organic. That is organic.
That's true. That's like true market.
Exactly, books like that. But you know, if that was something that was easier to find, like you know, ASM 50, you wouldn't be overpaying for it. You'd just be like, I'll look around. I'll find a better one some other time, maybe this week, maybe 2 days from now. But the fact that that's so rare, that's why this value in GA books goes up, because people are willing to pay that, just like you were. I'm willing to pay that too. I mean, there's books that don't have data and it comes up and you just you pay it because you want it, and you feel like it's too much, but where are you going to find another one? You better get this now. The rarity is the value of it. So yeah, that's part of it, man. That's organic for GA books.
I think that's a great way to end the show. Thanks for showing that.
I've been trying to say that for a while. And
But
we won't let you.
yeah, I have a guy. We gotta close this down.
Is
We're over
this
that
what
2
you
hour mark.
thought I was gonna show?
Yeah, I thought you would show that. But
I don't regret it, dude. I still have not. I haven't.
I haven't seen
a
another
lot of
one.
auctions, but I haven't seen any.
no,
Yeah, so, and even if I do, it's not going to be one that looks that good.
yeah.
Colors
Well-
on that thing pop.
Thanks everybody for joining
Thanks,
joining
guys.
us. We'll
It's been
talk to you
great.
guys soon. 2 weeks we'll be back. Next week I will not be here.
Yeah,
But,
me neither.
yeah, look forward to hanging out with you guys again. And yeah, we'll talk to Sean. Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
All right, everybody. Have a good one.
All right. See you
care.
guys.
Bye bye. Thanks for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road